you can go back to that table and say, hey, here's the deal. We do want to participate, but we would like to help couples go through this. Maybe you're a couple that says, you know what, we really need this. But maybe you're a couple that says, this is our heart. We love helping marriages. We love helping couples. And we want to help facilitate some tables. You can sign up back there. The other thing is this. We're just doing a little survey. And on your chair was a card. And on that card, it's just the question of where did you hear about the information? That it's always good when you host something like this, you want to know where your best sources are. And so if you could do us a favor, this is something we're asking you to do. Would you please fill this out? There's some baskets in the back of the auditorium. And if you would take those cards, fill them out, and during the break you just go back and put them in those baskets, that really, really, really helps us. The other thing that you need to know is this. We have had people praying for you for quite a while. And all the time during this conference, there's people in the prayer room. And they're praying for your marriage right now. And that's huge. And there's some people in here that not only do you appreciate the fact that your marriage has been lifted up in prayer, there's some people in here that you'll go, you know what? We need to talk to those people because we need prayer. And we have a prayer room. It's just over here off the other side of the stage. And just the big sign says prayer room. You can go to there during the conference and you can find someone and just say, hey, could you guys pray with us? We have this going on in our marriage. Maybe it's not even that your marriage is struggling. Maybe it's that you just have some hard times that you're going through and you just need prayer. We are a church that believes in prayer. And so we want to encourage you to take advantage of that. The other thing is this. Could we really quick, we have literally 100 or so volunteers that have really helped you out this week. You may not even see them. But they were here late last night cleaning up the auditorium to make sure that you have a nice facility to come back to. They stayed late and took care of the parking lot and took care of the food. They came in early this morning and took care of the food. Can we just give our volunteers a big round of applause? We really appreciate that because we are a church that runs on volunteers, that around here, this church operates off of volunteers. We believe that the people in the pews are the powers of the church. And we believe that the people in the pews make the difference in the church. And so we want to encourage you that when you see people that are helping out, they have the shirts on or whatever, that one of those things that you can do is you can just say thank you and just, they go, hey, you know what, this is all worth it. This is good. The other thing is that the book signing will be back here will be in the lobby area. We'll be in the lobby area, and it'll be directly after the conference. There was one this morning. It'll be directly after the conference, and you can, if you have your Love and Respect book, they would be glad to sign them. And then real quick, can you all take out your cell phones? We're going to turn them off. If you just take your cell phone real quick, and you would just turn that off, that would be really helpful to everyone. There's nothing worse than having a cell phone go off right in the middle, not only for the speaker, but for yourself, because it's like, oh, wait a second. I'm going to pretend that's the person next to me. And so when that happens, the best thing to do is to just turn to the person next to you and look at them like, what are you doing? And then nobody thinks it's you. It's kind of a diversion tactic. Or you could look at them and just say, I love you, and I'm sorry. That works too. And then maybe they'll turn back to you and say, and I respect you. And then we can just practice this whole thing. So, I'm supposed to stretch this out for just a little bit longer, so let me tell you a joke. All right. I don't know a joke. Anyway, so now talk amongst yourself. Why is it when the speaker runs out of information, you just stare? And so if you want to, just talk amongst yourself, introduce yourself. All right. Thank you.
Are we on? Okay, great. Thank you. We appreciate that. It's wonderful. You all have been so warm and hospitable, and we just feel so touched by your hospitality and all the volunteers, as he just expressed, and Pastor Dan and all that has gone on, Daisy, and so many. We are just so heartened by all that is happening. Well, let's kind of think again where we went last night. We said the crazy cycle is without love, she reacts without respect, he reacts without love. Can we say that in unison? Without love, she reacts without respect, he reacts without love. Again?
Without love, she reacts without respect, he reacts without love.
And it gets... And the energizing cycle says his love motivates her respect motivates his love. Can we say that? His love motivates her respect motivates his love. Again?
His love motivates her respect motivates his love.
And that energizes, because the key to motivating another person is meeting their deepest need. And this works over the marathon of the marriage. Any given day, we're all going to be nasty. We are sinners after all, and we don't live our lives perfectly. And we are going to fail one another, and we're going to have our moments. But over the long haul, there is truth here, and it works. It just works, particularly if we assume basic goodwill and don't take up offense even though we feel offended. And then we spell love, C-O-U-P-L-E, that if a husband, it moves toward his wife to be close with her, to be open with her, to understand her, to be at peace with her, to be loyal to her, to esteem her, those things energize her because you're meeting needs that God has placed within her nature. And when you do that, she gets energized. So that's why we said if you men couple, then that motivates her, and she's going to now learn that she needs to translate that excitement that she feels in her soul into what we call respect talk, and that's what's unique about this conference. So, his love motivates what, ladies? Again, his love motivates what? Now, you don't believe that. So you remind me of the pastor who had 30 first graders up on the pulpit for the children's sermon. He said, "Children, what has a fluffy tail, eats nuts, scurries along the ground, and climbs trees?" And a little 6-year-old boy raised his hand. "Pastor, I know the answer's Jesus, but it sounds like a squirrel to me." See, when you're in church, the answer is even though his reality told him it was a squirrel. And you're at a love and respect conference, and so you know the answer is his love motivates what? Respect. That's the right answer, but that's not your reality. His love motivates love. His love motivates love. And if he was more loving, I would out-respond him, because the essence of masculinity is initiation, the essence of femininity is response. And if he would be more loving, I would out-love him in responding to him. But he doesn't, so now my campaign is to change him. And it's been said that a gal marries a guy because she's convinced that she's going to love him into change. I'll just love him into change. And a guy marries thinking, something different. So what happens, she marries him, and I'm going to love him into change. And then after the marriage, she says, he won't change. A guy marries thinking, oh, the woman of my dreams, she'll never change. And after marriage, that's not the woman I married. So one of the things that we want to encourage you to do is, even though your experience in reality is love is all that matters, I'm going to share with you really the key to motivating a husband to be loving, and that's by meeting his need to feel respected for who he is. And as we said, no husband feels fond feelings of love and affection in his heart toward a wife he thinks despises who he is. That does not mean, men, that we are justified to come across unlovingly. I'm talking about our internal makeup. That we still need to come across lovingly in the face of that. I'm again saying, don't use this information as justification to club your spouse. That misses the whole point, and at that point we surrender the profile of being a man of honor. You're not. You're just, you're really vindictive, and you're just going to punish her, and that's your campaign now. And I just would encourage you to, even if you're in that mode, it's really kind of pointless. Why be so cruel? I would encourage you to take this information, apply it the way that I intend for it to come across. Now, when I first launched this whole love and respect thing, I was still pastoring, and it was interesting that we had a MOPS group, Mothers of Preschoolers. Sarah had started. We had a couple hundred women in the church doing this program, and they asked me to come and speak for 2 sessions on what I was learning about marriage. And so I said, yes, I'll come. Well, I didn't get through the information. I had one more session to go through, and I said, hey, I'm available, come back a 3rd session. The group voted, and they voted for me not to come back. My women, I was their pastor, I was their shepherd. And they told me to take my staff and go home. And so I began to think, what's going on here? Why do these women, that's when I began to realize that what men hear about the idea of respect, I mean, we serve and we die for honor. I mean, it's hugely motivational. You know, that's why we are inspired when we go see the movie Saving Private Ryan. Or when we see The Gladiator, strength and honor as they go into the arena. And we're on the edge of our seats. We sleep through Sleepless in Seattle, you know. But we're inspired by certain things. And there is an excitement there. But these women in the MOPS group did not process the word respect in the same way. That's when I began to realize these women were shutting down. And in fact, they invited a good friend of mine, a female, to come and speak that 3rd session on this topic, how to love your husband. And she wrote me a note and said they completely missed it. The best way you love a husband is by meeting his need to feel respected for who he is. But see, what the women did again is what they're doing all over America in the evangelical church, kicking back into their natural desire to love. And really what it means is they know they're more loving than their husbands. They really get together and talk about how can we help our husbands be more loving. And it really is an interesting dynamic. And furthermore, why would you continue to talk about something that God enabled you to do by nature? Paul and Peter would never say for you women to get together and talk about how to love your husbands. Not with that agape love, because we didn't command you to do that. If you would title this how to get together and how to respect your husband, that's a different story. You won't find that take place too soon in too many churches across America. So here you have an interesting dynamic. So I began to realize, whoa, you know, these ladies should believe this because the Scripture teaches this. Many of these gals I knew, I mean, through the years, they were leading other women to Christ, saying you must trust Christ, don't go on your feelings. Christ died for you, He loves you. You must trust that because the Bible teaches that. Trust His Word, even though your feelings tell you that you're worthy of unworthy of everything. And you trust Christ, that He's loved you. Trust Him. Don't go on feelings. Don't go on feelings. Then I come and say, you know, the Bible says that you're to respect your husband. No way, I don't feel it. I'd be a hypocrite. Be hypocritical for me to show respect when I don't feel it. I said, hey, did you get up yesterday to go to work? Yeah. When the alarm went off, did you feel like getting up? No. I said, I would have called in to your boss and said you're not coming in because it would be the epitome of hypocrisy. I didn't feel like getting up this morning, and I'm not going to be a hypocrite about it. I don't feel like getting up, and therefore I'm not going to get up. Be hypocritical. I don't feel respect, therefore I'm not going to show it because that'd be hypocritical. You see how we conveniently choose some things? The point is, God says it, we should believe it, and therefore act on it. But as I realized, whoa, Lord, they should be believing this because your objective word reveals this. This is your truth to them, both Paul and Peter. Again, no 2 small apostles. And why is it that we've just cut and paste? We've just taken this out of the Bible and thrown it away. We just kind of thought, oh, I don't like that, so let's go. No, I don't like that, and I don't know. Oh, I like this because that'll help me help him change, but when it, no, this, I don't. We are very selective in how we interpret Scripture. So anyway, I thought, Lord, they need to experience this. Even though I shouldn't be yielding to their subjectiveness, I nonetheless need to let them enter into this and put their toe in the water and see just how powerful this is. So I came up with a respect test, and as they were ushering me out, so to speak, I said, do any of you ladies want to volunteer to do a respect test to see if this is true? And several volunteered. And I said, here's what I want you to do. When he's in the home, you know, he's not doing anything, he's not busy, he's kind of relaxed, maybe in the, you know, with his chair that he loves to sit in, he's reading the paper. Come into the room where he is and say to him, I was thinking of you today, several things about you I respect, and I want you to know I really respect you. Well, this one gal and others volunteered that I said, come into where he is and say, you know, I was thinking about you today, several things about you I respect. And then after you say it, exit the room. Does anybody know what he'll do? Huh? Follow? Jump up and follow? Yeah, yeah. Here's his mother tongue. Most guys are lazy and will call her back, you know. Well, we had this one gal who wrote me, and I wanted them to tell me what happened, and she said, he'd come home each evening and going up into the bedroom and change into his evening attire for the home, and I usually would follow him, to give my report, to build rapport, and I would hope that he would volley back, but never really did. It's kind of like he never really focused on me. Just, he'd always kind of nod as he was changing. And so when he came home, I said, "Can we talk?" He said, "Now what did I do?" She said, "No, this is good." "Oh, really?" So he goes on upstairs. She follows him, goes into the bedroom, and she says, "I was thinking of you today. Several things about you I respect, and I want you to know I really respect you." And then she turns and exits. And she gets to the doorpost of the bedroom when he goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, wait, what is it? Come back." Well, he was so animated that the children heard him in other parts of the home, and they had never heard Dad that positively animated, excitement, energized kind of voice. I mean, so they came running because there had to be a pony in the bedroom. There wasn't any question about that. Well, when they came into the bedroom, they started jumping up and down the bed, and they were all excited. Well, she couldn't say anything to her husband. And then the oldest darted out, and the others followed. And then, like a good student, she tries to exit the bedroom. But when she gets back to the doorpost in a high whisper, he goes, "Whoa, whoa, wait, what is it?" Well, she turns and proceeds to tell him. Well, it was like an out-of-body experience. I mean, she hadn't seen him riveted on her like that since courtship, which is a clue. So you women think that he married you because you loved him. No, he married you because he loved you, and he thought you admired him. And there's a fine line between your love and your admiration during that courtship. You looked up to him, you glowed, you believed in him, everything was positive, you were friendly. These were all markers of honor and respect. But that first year of that marriage, when he came across you in unloving ways due to his immaturity, not ill will, your spirit sank, and a dark look came over your eyes, and a sour look, and the hand and the skulls, the sighs. All these things began to be communicated to him in these nonverbal ways that you loved him, but you didn't like him. And he didn't know how to get back what was the key that motivated him to drop to his knees and say, "I want to marry you." It's been said that every man does what he does for the admiration of one woman, and you were that woman. And you remember what you were looking like, and you remember how you were. And I'm going to tell you, that's what creates fond feelings of love in his heart and is what moved him toward you. But when that's removed, and you think love is enough, but you are loving but disrespectful, no wonder he doesn't engage you and is close to you, because his deepest need isn't being met. And then if he says, "You need to respect me," I don't need to respect you. See, the license that you've been given in this culture due to the deep feminist movement, good-willed women, intellectuals, but they're evolutionists by their own confession. They're not believers in the Apostle Paul and Peter. They do not like either one of those gentlemen. So she proceeds to tell him, and let me just say, ladies, if you do the respect test, you need to be prepared to say something to him. It's always interesting. Women are always looking for new formulas. And so women will hear this and immediately jump on it, thinking, "I'll try this." And then he says, "Well, what is it?" "Well, I don't know. I hadn't really got that. I just wanted to see if this would work." And then I've said to women, "Now, you got to say something because he's going to ask." And then I say, "Now, what would you say to him?" And some women say, "Well, frankly, there's anything about him I respect. I don't respect him at all." Really? See, remember the whole issue, if she's at war with him or battling with him in one area, she's at war with him in all areas. If she doesn't like him on one front, she doesn't like him at all. She's that integrated personality, and men just kind of feel that's unfair. Let me just insert that a little bit. But apart from that point, I say, "So there's nothing about him you respect?" "No." I said, "Can I ask you a question?" "What?" "Is he created in the image of God?" "Yes." "Do you think there could be a residual effect there that's still, kind of good? And from God's creation, is there something still there? I mean, God's pretty good at his creation. I mean, I think there might be something pleasant still there." "Well, yeah, I suppose there is." "That's good, good. Hey, let me ask you several questions." "Sure. Is he honest, "Yes, he's way too honest. He just speaks his mind to me at times. It's almost cruel, but yeah, he's honest. He just tells it like it is. He's really honest, Dad, but too much so." "Does he have a good reputation with those that he works with? I mean, do people like him? Is he credible?" "Yeah, but they don't know what he's really like." What about his relationship with his mom, for instance? "Frankly, I think it's very unhealthy." Well, let me make some comments, about honesty and integrity. Billy Graham said integrity is the greatest of all virtues. Husband's not doing too bad there, is he? And did one of the qualifications to be an elder in the church is to have a good reputation with those outside the church? He's maybe qualified to be an elder. And did you know one of the 10 Commandments is honor father and mother? Maybe he's honoring his mother. Maybe he's not unhealthy at all. And then women say, well, you know, you're right. It's me. I have an attitude. I say, well, I would probably agree with you. And women are never mean. They're just mad and they're upset and they're hurting. They're not mean-spirited. They're just upset. And so then as they get into this, they start to get excited. And I say, is there anything about him that you might say that you respect? Yeah, I got one. What? I'm going to tell him he's a good father. Hey, great. Do you believe that? No? Well, then why would you say it? Because he needs to change. All right, let's not do this right now to try to get him to change. Let's just meet a need that he has because. Just like if he were just to love you because. What would you feel if he started loving on you in order to get sex? I can't stand that when he does that. That's right, because he's using you. Don't use him. Don't mess with his feelings. He must not mess with your feelings. Let's give him a gift inherently. This is because he needs it like he needs air to breathe. Same way you need love. And then women start getting excited. And I then began to coach them along this line. Well, this woman said to her husband several things when he was standing there. And after she said these several things, he went, whoa. Hey, can I take the family out to dinner? And she was blown away by that comment because she said, we never go out to dinner. And I could relate with that because my dad I was an adult before I was in a restaurant with my dad. I remember sitting in a restaurant with my dad eating. I think this is the first time I've ever been in a restaurant with my dad. I mean, it was just really kind of a stunning thing. He never took the family out to dinner. I never, as a family, never going out. Because Dad was raised in depression, and he thought if I spend that much money in the restaurant, I can go get 10 fillets at this meat shop that he knew. And he loved to cook, and he just couldn't. So he'd always go and get that and come back and cook. And so when she said that, she was blown away. Now, what's the significance of that? Remember I said when you respect a man for who he is, giving that gift of unconditional respect toward his spirit, and you come across respectfully, men want to serve. Hey, where'd you serve? I served in Vietnam. I was in Afghanistan. High five it. Men serve. Then she said, hey, can we take a rain check on this? Because the kid have soccer practice and different things. He said, sure. She said, I left, and 15 minutes later, she heard him in the kitchen, and there were pans banging. He fixed supper, and she said, Pastor, he doesn't cook. She was blown away. Within 15 minutes, 2 major serving efforts. She just could not believe it. Then 3 days later, I get this email from her. Pastor, I got to get this off to you quick. You're not going to believe it. He's in the laundry room. And then she said, do you have any more respect tests? And then she said, Pastor, literally, I believe I'm going to get a cruise out of this. And so his love motivates her respect, and her respect manipulates his love. And that's why some women say, and that's why I'm not going to do it, because it's manipulative. Oh, really? Yeah. Okay, gentlemen, everything we said about love last night is so influential, so persuasive, so stimulating, so energizing, so motivational. It's got to be manipulation, so don't do it. You women say, that's absurd. For him to meet my need, I mean, he needs to deal with his own impurity. If he's doing that for ill reasons, and he needs to, but he should not love me because he thinks it's manipulative. That's right, and so too, you ladies, it applies to you. That's your issue. If you think, I'm not going to do it because of manipulation, that's because you're impure. You don't stop meeting somebody's need because it so easily affects them. In fact, some of us are working really hard. We think marriage is so hard. And then you give people something to do that really does work and it's somewhat easy, and they don't do it because of that. You know, so we'll just keep being disrespectful to motivate him to be loving. We'll continue to be unloving to motivate her to be disrespectful. And we work really hard at that. Never works, but we just keep doing it. Then someone comes along and says, why don't you try it a different way? Why don't you put on love to someone who's disrespectful? Why don't you put on respect towards someone who's unloving? And let's just do this for a while and see what happens. And I will tell you that it tends to work. You know it would work on you. If you had any degree of goodwill and hadn't transferred your affection to some other person, you're not committing adultery, but you really are committed to the marriage. You're just both upset with one another. It works. Now, let me just comment here. Women are saying, what is this respect thing? We're going to define and what respect is right now, but let me give you just a quick start on this thing. Ladies, trust me. It's not what you say that really shuts him down. It's how you say it. And women don't appreciate what I'm saying, so I have to make this a strong point. Men banter with one another all day. We call one another's name. Hey, potato face. Hey, yeah, pot belly. How you doing there, baldy? We have nicknames. We banter. We debate. We say, oh, that idea stinks. But we always do it, as I said, with a twinkle in an eye. So we debate and discuss and take issues. We don't shut down typically on what is being said. Unless it's just really, you're despicable, Harry. When we use words of dishonor, that's what does it. But other than that, it's not what that's being said that upsets us. It's how it is said. I say to women, after you've had a doozy of a fight with your husband, go into the bathroom, shut the door, and look at yourself in the floor-length mirror, and as best you can, reenact all your gestures and what you said to him. And see how your eyes get dark. Look at the sour face. Look at the rolling of the eyes, the hands on the hips, the scolding finger, the and ask yourself this question: is there any human being in his life that talks to him this way? And if the answer to that is no, I'm telling you, he is not shutting down on what you say, he's shutting down on how you say it. And you know and I know why you're saying it that way. You're trying to get a message through that you feel unloved. You feel unloved, and you're trying to get him to be more loving, because if he was, you'd outlove him. You know you'd respond, and you're not asking for a whole lot. You don't feel selfish in that, so that's why you think it's justified, because you feel so loving that you can come across so disrespectfully. And he should know, but he doesn't know, and your son won't know. So one of the things I encourage women to do is ask themselves, is that which I'm about to say or do going to feel respectful to him? And I say to the men too, is that which I'm about to say or do going to feel loving to my wife? And we can argue all day long that they're childish and they're overly sensitive. I've already made the case. They have vulnerabilities where you have natural strengths. You need to understand, though, that he's very vulnerable. And when you then soften your tone, soften your gestures, just soften it, you're not losing power. You think you are, because that disrespect really gets his attention. And you've said to yourself, if I'm soft and respectful, it doesn't work. Well, that's a short-term belief. At times it won't, as much as if you throw something at him. When you throw something at somebody, it gets their attention. But that doesn't mean that's a good method. Just because it works once or twice, you see, you can win the battle, 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 lose the war. Because you think that they're looking at, he's there, but his spirit's a million miles away. And so you've got to do it God's way and trust the results. You can only control your actions and reactions. You can't control the outcomes anyway. So therefore, it's a matter you make a decision to do it God's way and soften. But as you do that, you're going to find, particularly if you use the vocabulary I'm going to tell you to use, you'll see him moving toward you, not away from you. And women have not been given this information. So soften that tone, soften that facial expression, soften those gestures. Truth will carry its own weight. You don't need to overstate it. There's power here. Now, I received this letter from a gal. I attended your marriage conference. I spoke with you briefly. This was back in 2001. Spoke with you briefly after the Friday night session and told you that my husband had filed for divorce but was giving me some mixed signals about possibly getting back together someday. I'd asked him to come to the conference with me, and he had refused. You'd suggested to me that I see if he would listen to the tapes. Before I even brought it up, he knew that I'd purchased the tapes, and he asked to listen to them. The divorce was in the final stages, and he assured me that it would be finalized. From the very beginning, I had many people praying for the restoration of our marriage, and I continued to trust that if it was going to happen, it would only occur with God's intervention. I don't know if it was the tapes or a combination of things, but after that, he began to draw closer to me and told me that he wanted to be a part of the family. Then he called his attorney and called off the divorce, and then he moved back home. And we've been married for 20 years, and our marriage is stronger now than it's ever been. The issue of respect was a huge issue in the eyes of my husband, and one of the main reasons that he left. Now, I find that sentence very interesting, because women hear men say this issue of respect is important to them. Women are hearing it all the time. Men are saying it. But it's a marginal issue to women. All that matters is that we love one another. And besides, it's all about you. And at best, women go silent at that. At worst, they'll say, oh, you're so arrogant. You don't deserve respect. I don't respect you. It's a marginal issue. All that matters is love. And if you were more loving, we'd have a great marriage. I mean, that's just bam, bam. That's just like taking out a gun. Bam, 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 bam. Now, you shouldn't move into shame, because no one has told you women this. And so do not move into shame. Hear what's being said. For the last 40 years, we have not told you this. Some have in certain pockets. But overall, this has been removed from the marital radar screen. So don't move into shame, but listen carefully, because this will help you. But then she said this: once I saw how important it was to our entire relationship, it made it so easy for me to give my husband what he so desperately needed. And in our book, Love and Respect, the love she most desires, the respect he desperately needs. And she said, the more I made him feel respected, here's the energizing cycle. The more I made him feel respected, the more he realized how much he loved me. There it is. There it is. Then she said, we both had to go through many changes to get to the point that we are today, but I thank the Lord for making me walk through the fire and the trials that I went through in order to make my marriage what it should be. We still have a lot of healing to do, but we are doing great and able to communicate with each other like never before. Why? Because there was mutual understanding now. Mutual understanding is the key to communication. And if you don't have mutual understanding, there are two languages, pink vocabulary, blue vocabulary, love language, respect language. And if you both don't know the other's vocabulary, you won't decode. You just won't, because unfortunately, it comes across as a code. She reacts in ways that she thinks you should interpret. It's normal for her. Everybody should understand this. No, all pink women understand it, but men don't understand it. And he's reacting in a way that all the guys would know. I know why the guys